Hey, folks. Hey, what's happening, Roland? Well, today is the first week of December. It was Pearl Harbor Day just the other day. And all sorts of interesting things happened. I didn't do a whole lot of fishing, but last Sunday I did. And let me tell you what the key was last Sunday was water temperature. And I have a little water temperature thermometer. You see me use it a lot of times. And this is a little thing that you buy. And like looking at the ground right now, it says it's 78 degrees. Okay. When I did that the other Sunday, the water temperature that morning was in the 60s. That's a little cool for say top water. It's a little cool for some of the bass over there at headwaters. So we caught a few fish in the morning, but finally in the afternoon the bright sun came up, and it was all of a sudden it got up over 70 degrees. It got to 72 degrees, the water temperature. And I went back in this back pocket and started throwing top water, bam, throwing worms, throwing different color worms. And I'm coloring up a special way, and I'll show you with the spiking products I have upstairs. I'll show you some of my tricks with the color orange. But anyway, that saved the day, the water temperature meter. And another thing, that a little tip that I'll give you right now for wintertime fishing, the afternoons are often better than the mornings. The reason is the afternoons are usually warmer than the mornings. There's a better, more accelerated bite in the afternoon as the water temperatures rise. Okay, so that's my tip for the day. Fish higher, warmer water temperatures. Okay, let's get back here and I'll show you a few things or two. One thing that I was doing last week was I was deer hunting, and I reload all my stuff. I guess I got to go through this way. And I have a little lead sled right here, kind of cool. And I have my different rifles. I have 3 or 4 different calibers. This happens to be an old Marlin 35 Remington that I've reloaded for. I have a 6.5 by 300 Weatherby. I have all kind of different rifles. And I shoot through here, and I clean the rifles here, and I also through this machine right here. It's called a chronograph. When this is on, the chronograph tells you the speed of the bullet. Now, if you know what the weight of the bullet is, you know what the in this case, I got a bullet right here, and I know that this is 158 grains. So if I know that that bullet's traveling at 158, it's 158 grains traveling at a certain speed. I look up the ballistic coefficient. That's the efficiency of the bullet. It tells me all the ballistics. I know just how far it'll go, just how much it'll drop, and I'm shooting at a target at 50 yards. Okay, that's the first thing. Okay, let's come over here and I'll show you some more stuff. Part of my week has been making turkey calls. You know, I get this is Christmas coming up, and I'll make these Neil Cost box calls, and they're available through my judym at fishingwithrolandmartin.com. That's an exquisite call, by the way. It's butternut with this acacia wood on top. It's really good, and I autograph them right now. This isn't autographed, but it copies the original Neil Cost call. This is worth thousands of dollars. You notice what Neil did, and he autographed it for me. And this is a call that's about 40 or 50 years old, but worth a lot of money. Okay, now let's go upstairs. Hey, I was doing all this deer meat. You saw me last week. I had my big limb grinder, and I was grinding meat. Look at that, oh, freezer full. I got over 100 pounds of meat, and this is my deer hamburger. I got the date on there. It has Boston butt in there. It has regular beef fat. It has bacon. It is delicious. That's one good deal. Freezer full of deer meat. Well, let's go upstairs. I want to show you something really interesting. I've been playing with color. And lately, the Spiking Corporation has come up with a new coloring system for plastic. It's worm paint. Now, I know you've seen me use all the different color dyes before on different products. And you've seen me take regular, say, worms like this, and regular solutions like the spike it dye, and try and you see me dip the tails, and now I got a chartreuse tail. Okay, you see me do that many times, but that's fine, and that really works. That's a really good way to do it. But these bleed and they fade, and there's a few other things. But now they have this worm paint. Now this is a different product. This worm paint, for example, is much more durable. Shake it up. Now watch what happens here. I take the worm paint. I'm just going to go on the other side of this thing. The worm paint, when that dries, that won't come off. Now the nice thing about the worm paint, it doesn't bleed. So when I put it in with other products, for example, whatever other colors I have, that will stay by itself. It won't bleed over, and it won't bleed like the dye did. The dye bleeds, the paint doesn't bleed. And the paint just stays on, it doesn't fade, doesn't go away, doesn't do anything. There's some of the many colors I have. For example, you see me use chartreuse a lot. Juice, a hot pink is a big deal. And here's some things that are already made up. I just want to show you a couple things, for example. Here's one. See, this is a white base coat. Now, see, normally, if I wanted to dye a dark colored worm like this one here, and say I had a dark colored worm, I couldn't dip it in the regular dye because it won't show up enough. It won't be enough. But if you dip that thing in the white first, for example, right here is what we're talking about. Dip it in white first, you get a base coat. Okay. As soon as that dries a little bit, I would then drop it in the worm paint, the regular chartreuse. At that point, it's gonna really stay. It's gonna be indestructible. It's just always gonna be there. It's gonna be 100%. It's dripping right now, but you can actually start fishing it in just a few seconds. So that's one of the combinations. Now, let me just show you some of the things that you can do with that. It's really cool. Here's one that's really kind of cool. It's a creature claw. You've seen all these different creature things that I flip with. And this orange, it's a more vibrant color. Now I have the same basic colors in the dye, but they don't stand out as much. For example, this orange is really orange. I mean, that's an orange, and that's a paint that will not run, it will not fade. It's just a more bright, more vivid color than what you'd ever have in, say, just a dye. So it's a worm paint. It's just for plastics. It's just the perfect thing for plastic. Okay, that's one thing. Okay, let's look at a couple other combinations that are kind of cool that I really like. And anyway, here's one. Here's just kind of a pink looking worm, and we just dotted it with some black. And I guess some black right here. Just black is just a perfect combination. You can just make little spots on it, and those spots will not come off. They'll not rub off. You can't cut them off. They won't fade. It's just 100% perfect. You know, we've always used just white, and then you go with the dye on white. But here was the advantage with these colors now, is that you can take a dark color, basically a dark color, real dark, and make it a real nice color. Like, for example, this lizard, how this bright color came about, and you can't get that with a dye. That you can get that only with the worm paint, that real bright pink. What I did first was I dipped it in white, let it halfway dry, and then dipped it again in the pink, and that's what you end up with, is indelible pink, real bright colored, and you couldn't have done that with a dye. You couldn't have done that with any other way, really. It's just a perfect way. So often you see me take just shad colored lures and the water's a little dingy. You say, well, why do you have to color the tails? So often in the dingy water, that's the whole key to it, because sometimes if they're not hitting just a regular natural color, because it's kind of dingy, you need a regular natural colored shad looking lure, but that chartreuse tail just does wonders. But that's a more bright, more vivid chartreuse than you'd ever get with, say, a dye. That's the worm paint, and it just makes an exquisite job. You know, you can do all sorts of things. I take frogs, for example, like the old rivets and stuff like that, and they're different colors, and you can just have a ball with it. You can take, that was kind of a white frog to start with. It was all solid white. I took the green and put the green on there, and then put little specks of black spots. It looks like a frog. It's really kind of cool, and it didn't take long. Just didn't take a minute. Red, white, and blue. Here's what we're talking about, folks. Just the old red, white, and blue thing. But this is just to show you that there's so many different combinations that you can come with. That just happened to be just a white little swim bait, like a Big Easy type of thing. I think I got some right here. And then I dipped some blue in the front, which is kind of, I don't know if I've ever fished with red, white, and blue plug, but you could. And then, of course, that red. Look how red. You're not going to get that red any other way, as bright as that, except with the worm paint. The worm paint is really the key to a bright color. So that's what we have here. And a couple more combinations. Just basically, it's again more indelible, and it's just really perfect. I just have to say that all the Spiker products are good, and you get the plastics, and I even pour my own worms too. You know, you see me do that. And so I have a worm molds, and I pour my own worms, and I make the worms in whatever consistency I want, soft or hard. For example, a flipping lure, when I'm going to flip in the heavy water like these rage tail things, I want them hard. You know, if I'm fishing just a plastic worm that I'm just throwing for a bass, just swimming a worm along, I want it soft. So there's just all different kind of combinations, and by pouring my own worms, I can make it hard or soft. Okay, and I can make it any color I want. Now, when you're actually making your own worms, you put the dye in the worm, but you're not going to get two colors like that. In this case, it was kind of a green worm to start with. I dipped it in black. See the black? It's just so black. It's just black. It's just black as the ace of spades. So anyway, that's the new colors. The new things are all here to show you. It's called a worm paint. It's just a fantastic product. And oh, by the way, here's all my reloading stuff. I was talking about all the deer hunting I did, and I load up all my rifle bullets, and I got powder here. My heavens, I have enough powder for an army. Anyway, I enjoy my winters on these cold days when I can't fish, and if the water temperatures stay below 60. I'll stay up here and I'll play with my worm paints. I'll do my reloading. I'll fix my tackle. There's a lot of interesting products. I'll make turkey calls. So I don't have to fish every day to have fun. Listen, hey, thanks for watching this YouTube, and thanks for subscribing to my channel. You know, O'Reilly and Bass Pro, they just love it when you hit that likes. Hit that likes button. It's such a big deal for me and my sponsors as well. So, hey, thanks for watching. We'll see you again soon.